Hello, all you degenerate old schoolers, and welcome back to another episode of The Orb. Big night tonight, X Points 46. If you're not shit your pants excited, it's time to take another dose of Metamucil and get there. This is a big one. Andreas is back. He was on the last video, slinging some Ponza and beers, plenty of land destruction. And his opponent tonight, Gijsbert, he's on quite a spicy deck. So we're going to take a look at him. It's going to be a completely European showdown here. Let's take another quick look at Andreas' deck. And here we go with another view of Andreas' deck. Starts off the deck built around black and red, Sedge Trolls, 2 Darylore, 2 Sengir Vampire, A+ for spiciness, and even more spicy after that. We have the Hordes, demonic Hordes out there destroying land and dealing big damage. A couple Kumbach Witches to ping away your opponent's shit. Play set of Hypnotic Specters, because why not? We have board wipes in the form of Nirnivel's Disc. He also has 1 enchantment removal with Tranquility. His points drop into those 2 Maze of Ith, 1 Demonic Tutor, Mox Jet, and Soul Ring. More mana ramp with Felwar Stone and Birds of Paradise. I love the 4 Sinkholes and the 3 Stone Rains. Of course, the standard Chaos Orb, and then more removal in the form of Lightning Bolt, Shatter, Fireball, and 1 Terror. So, well-rounded deck. We can see it's beat out the other roughly 60 opponents and made it to the top 2. So, can't wait to see this. Let's take a look at Gijsbert's deck. And here's a look at Gijsbert's deck. It looks like he traveled back to the 1980s to a Sears portrait studio to take this photo. All we're missing is a flannel shirt on a Mahamoti Jin. Now that being said, he's running mono blue and top tier for that. We can kind of see what he's up to. He's got some mana vaults in there. Most of what he's doing is costing 4 or more, unless he's countering a spell or playing out a cheaper artifact or playing a transmute. Other than that, his big body creatures are 4 or more. So mana vaults to help power out the books, power out the Modis, the air elementals. He's got those 4/4 flyers for 5. He also has Tetravis and Trike in there. He also has some direct damage in the form of Psyblast, Sonic Blast. So, well-rounded deck. He drops his points into a Soul Ring, a Time Walk, a Mana Drain, and it looks like a myriad of Mishra's Factories in the deck also. His board, I love the Unsummons. I've played with Unsummons, and it's not perfect, right? It's not a 1-for-1 trade, but it can help you out in a jam by 1 blue just sticking a creature back in your hand or your opponent's hand. 3 blue Elemental Blast, 3 Hurkles, some control magics which are super powerful in this format, a Disc, a Disrupting Scepter, and a Tonus' Coffin. So can't wait to see these games. This should be a really good one. Let's move on to game number 1. And here we go with game number 1. Gijsbert won the potato juggling competition, so he's on the play. Andreas is going to be on the draw here. So Gijsbert just leads with an island and a pass. We see Taiga into the Lonely Birds of Paradise in Andreas' deck. Good way to start ramping. Gijsbert finds a factory and a Sage of Latnam. Now he turned his unwanted artifacts into extra cards. Sage does really well in this format, I think. Andreas finds a Bayou. taps the birds in the bayou. Oh, and a sinkhole. Deleting the Mishra's factory, already taking care of a point off of Gijsbert's side. Sinkhole's doing work. Gijsbert fires back with a Felwar Stone. Not a bad comeback play, but he misses a land drop. Oh, I guess he doesn't. He's down a land with the sinkhole. I'm sorry. I'll quit talking now. Oh, but look at this. Andreas firing out Sengir Vampire. That feels early. But Sengir is great. 4/4 flyer. Wants to drain your blood. Gijsbert does ramp some more with a Felwar Stone, and here comes that Vampire in for 4. Yeah, Gijsbert just taking it, dropping to 16. Oh, and a Stone Rain. More Ponza here. There goes an island to the bin. Good thing Gijsbert's run into those Felwar Stones, and he's casting more points. Time Walk. He will be taking another turn after this. And he can turn those Felwar Stones into extra cards as needed. There's a Mana Vault for ramp. Wow. And he cracks down his own 4/4 flyer, an Air Elemental. Not quite as cool as the Sengir, but does the same job. And look at this, more Ponza. Another sinkhole straight to another island. He's not going to be able to untap that Mana Vault, so he's definitely going to take a point of damage from that. And I'm completely wrong. That's what that Sage of Latnam's out there for. Just goes ahead and eats the Mana Vault. And he gets a new card. Drops out a Felwar Stone, so wow. These artifacts are really coming in handy. I think Andreas wants to keep all of his Sengir. He didn't send him in last turn. Looks like he's going to go ahead and just pass with 3. Oh, here comes Gijsbert, and he just drops that Sengir Vampire, gives him a massive headache. Straight to the graveyard. Gijsbert does drop to 14, but his Air Elemental is cracking in. Slowly starting to strangle Andreas, as he is now down to 16. Bolt for the Sage. I feel like the Sage has already done some heavy lifting. Gijsbert finds another pointed card, Mishra's Factory again. And look at this, tapping 6 for a Tetravis. Andreas has to have a bit of a sinking feeling here. 2 4/4 flyers out. He does have a Birds of Paradise that he can throw in front of one of those buses. But that bird's going to get leveled. And just slow this pain train down by just a hair. Yeah, Gijsbert's sent into the team here. That's 10 damage. He is so close to death. Oh, and look at this. Another Air Elemental. Yeah, that is game number 1, folks. Gijsbert laying down the 4-4 beating flyers, clearing the way with that side blast. These two will swap out some cards and we'll move on to game number 2. And here we go with game number 2. Gijsbert absolutely just ran over Andreas last game with a bunch of 4-4 flyers. Andreas is on the play and fires down a Bayou. Quick pass to his opponent. He responds with an island and a mana vault. Already getting out that brown mana early. That absolutely saved him last game. Andreas drops a swamp and just a pass. Does not pull into one of the sinkholes. Gijsbert does find another blue source, an island. Andreas on the move here, playing on a naked Central. His opponent mana draining it. So Gijsbert's going to have access to a ton of colorless mana here. And 2 islands. This is normally where my opponent taps everything and says Brain Geyser for a bunch. He does come into a Mishra's Factory, so he does have a place to put that mana in case he can't use it. Looks like he's laying down a Felmore Stone. And tapping 5. Look at that Air Elemental. That's a pretty solid turn. You get a 4-4 body out there, a factory, and a mana rock. Andreas comes up with another Bayou. Oh, and a Tsunami. That's a pretty solid 2-for-1. Does take his opponent off blue, but he does have that 4-4 body down. And now Factory can come in unabated, along with that Air Elemental. So Andreas takes first blood, drops down to 16. Needs to start answering some of these bodies across the table from him. Andreas tapping 3. Scratch that. Tapping 4. He's playing out a Daralore. Brings a 4-4 body of his own to the party. I kind of wonder if he was deciding whether to play a Stone Rain. Maybe not. Air Elemental in for another 4. And look at this. Another mana vault on the table. So he has no islands, but he does have access to 8 colorless mana if need be. I mean, he's getting close to Colossus of Sardia. Although that's not in his deck. So Andreas is back on the move. He does have a body to throw damage in, but he has to deal with that Air Elemental at some point. Or at least slow it down. That's one option. Fires down a Chaos Orb and an activation. So Daralore is going to be the stand-in for sure for that Air Elemental. Oh, nice clean rotation, clean hit. Judge is given an 8.8. So the Air Elemental's off to the bin. Gijsbert still doesn't have any colored mana. He's cracking in with Darylor though. Dropping out of Sedge Troll, he is still protected. One black mana open. Gijsbert finally finds a blue source. Plays out an island. His only problem is most of his deck takes 2 islands. Just a pass back to Andreas. Yep, Andreas is turning his creatures sideways. Gijsbert tapping for Psyblast. It's one way to deal with a Darylor. Oh, and look at this pro move of Void Fate. That is huge. So Sedge Troll still gets in for 3. Drops Gijsbert down to 9, and here we have Zyra, who he can tap a red, a black, and a green, and tap Zyra and draw a card with. It's essentially a book, just slightly more efficient and in creature form. Gijsbert tapping a lot of things, and yeah, here we go, Mahamoti Jin. He's big and bad. 5/6 flyer. That may be a problem. Good news for Andreas is the Mahamoti's going to be on blocking duty for a while here. Oh, and 1 red elemental blast. That's one way to deal with that big beefy boy. Tap 1 red. Send that shit straight to the graveyard. And here comes the Darylor and the Sedge Troll in. And a lightning bolt, and that is game number 2. Andreas cracking back, eating islands, blowing up Mahamoti Jins, playing Zyra, and winning game number 2. So let's move on to game number 3. We are 1-1 on games for this X-Point 47 Finals Showdown. Gijsbert starts by firing down some pointed cards, 1 Mishra's Factory already in play. Andreas plays a Badlands and a pass. And here comes a Sage of Latnam. Sage did some big work in game number 1. Ate a few cards. And Sage is doing work in game number 3 by punching in for 1, dealing the first blood of the game. Andreas dropping to 19. Andreas coming up with a swamp. Tapping 3, and Sedge Troll sitting naked on the board. No black mana to regenerate, and he immediately gets punished with a Psyblast. That hurts. Gijsbert's going to take 2 off of the Psyblast damage, but he is cracking right back in for another 3. Andreas drops down to 16. Gijsbert's on 18. The game is moving right along. Oh, Andreas playing out Zyra. It's his draw engine. And if he can stick around, that's going to be big late game. But Gijsbert's cracking back with an air elemental. 4/4 flyer that is getting harder and harder to deal with as every game passes. Andreas tapping 2 for a sinkhole. taking out a factory, and a terror. Answer after answer for that big boy. Air elemental straight to the bin, scared straight to death. So Gijsbert just passes back. Oh, Andreas playing out a hippie. If he can sneak around those big body flyers and nick some cards. Nope, he's not going to be able to do that. Hippie doesn't even hit the board. Counterspell. And a Psyblast. Going to respond and draw a card. Gijsbert takes 2 more, drops to 16, but cracks in with his Sage. So Andreas tapping forward, dropping out a disc. It's a solid board wiper. I'm sure the Sage would like to eat that artifact. I mean, if the disc sticks around, which I'm pretty sure it's going to, even if he blows it immediately, it's going to be a 2-for-1. You can eat the Sage and the Fellwar Stone across the board. But I'm sure Andreas is going to save it as an insurance policy for something bigger later. Here comes that Sage in doing even more work. 1 more point, Andreas drops down to 14. There goes the disc. Guess we're to the draw go portion of the game. Andreas seems to have found a pocket of land, and he backs it up with a Darylore now. It's a solid 4/4 body, but Gijsbert's up to the magical 6 mana, and he only uses 4 of it for a control magic. Darylore is now swap sides and staring Andreas straight in the face. Andreas doesn't have an answer for it and passes back to Gijsbert. Darylore is turning sideways, slapping in his big green body. Andreas takes 4. Tapping 5 for a fireball to kill his own Darylore. And away it goes. Control magic's so often a 2-for-1. And end up killing your own creature. And here comes Mahamoti Jin. If Darylore, your own Darylore, wasn't bad enough, a 5/6 flyer. Trying to peek in over the top, but Andreas does have the immediate answer. Maze of Ith's down. The new Sage of Latnam showed up to the board. And we got a bolt for the Sage again. That Sage of Latnam's off to take a dirt nap. And we're kind of back to the draw go portion of the game. Oh, look at this. This is huge. Tsunami. Oh, counterspell. Gijsbert might have been wiped out there. That would have eaten him alive. He dodged that one. Plays out a Mishra's Factory. Andreas tapping to, yeah, sinkhole right back to the factory. That's one way to answer those points. Maze of Ith is keeping that big beater at bay. Comes another Felwar Stone. Both these players just kind of chewing through their deck here. Here comes another Sage of Latnium. Oh, and an immediate bolt. I'd say Sage of Latnium is about extinct. Andreas finds a Sedge Troll. That's something, but he's going to need a couple of them to sneak around that Modi. Finishes out his playset of Bayous. And he's working on a set of Taigas. Got 3 of the 4 down. Never good when your opponent's counting land. I think he only has 1 fireball out there, but he can do it for a bunch. Gijsbert dropping a Mana Vault. And 3 for a Hypnotic Spectre. So again, Hippie not really being a threat. Just get run over by the Modi. Thrown straight into the ground. And look at this. Here comes an Air Elemental. 4/4 flyer. It's not good for Andreas. Tapping a bunch for a disc. Okay, that is something. And Gijsbert says, no thank you, sir. Put that shit away. Wow. Andreas needs to answer those big bodies. Andreas is sending in Sedge Troll. I feel like that may be a bit of a trap. I mean, at this point, you just let it sneak through. Andreas throws Regeneration back down on the Sedge Troll. And yeah, just a pass back to Gijsbert. Oh, there's Strip Mine. That's going to take care of that Maze of Ith. Not good news. Here comes a Modi. Hippie blocks the Modi. Here comes a new Hippie. You can't do that all day long, though. You need to be able to answer it. Gijsbert's back on the move again, finds another factory. Here comes Modi again. This thing is just chewing up hippies and spitting them out. Andreas is trying to round out his set of Badlands, but unfortunately for him, Air Elemental and Modi are cracking in, and here's a time walk. Will this finish off the game? That is it. Game number 3. Gijsbert just takes it down. What a grand finale of X Points 46. As always, thanks for watching. Have a good night.